Hey, look, it's a it's a weird time. Take these long breaks between episodes these days for a lot of reasons. Let's pick up. Where do we pick up? Is my last episode my lonely as fuck sorry ass birthday in Nashville? Well, I escaped Nashville finally. I escaped Nashville. Shut that situation down. Now I'm battling the apartment complex that I was living at because it costs a lot to break a lease. Not a decision to be made lightly, but that city was breaking my heart for a lot of reasons. It sucked because it was almost great. The comedy scene was dubious at best. There were a handful of like really solid, dedicated comics, which is my metric for like a good comic. Not like are you the funniest or like you write the best jokes or you're the cleverest. Just about like do you show up regularly and do you commit? Or do you commit to committing? Or are you just there? Do you love the lifestyle? I think the best nights that I've had while I was in Nashville was just after an open mic, sort of the round table assembled. This dude John Hickok, 6'8", Tennessee, just fucking oak of a man. And he would whip out a cigar and we'd start drinking and just talking shit, man. Some of the best fucking shit talking. Like some, like on, like, yeah, I mean, camaraderie is why I always loved comedy. Because it's the only place that I think loners can find other loners and learn how to interact with other human beings in a way that matters. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that, particularly in my mid 30s, ouch, my 30s, people really take the off ramp to mediocrity and banality. They really do. And that's not a criticism. I mean, there's a large part of me that wishes, if for no other reason than the comfort and the ease of just getting a girlfriend, getting engaged, getting married, and then boom, that's it. Work your tech job, make your six figures, and call it a day. And there's a part of me that now, feeling the obstacles that I've been battling, I don't poo poo that, but I forget what my point was. What was I saying? Yeah, but there are other people who just continue trying to pursue this lifestyle of creativity and artistic expression and self-discovery and living life how it's supposed to be lived, life how it probably was before the advent of consumer culture. You just were sort of like, either I work this farm or I'm going to get on this horse with a sword or a six shooter and go fucking try to find some life. And I think we've gotten very, very far away from that. People are very risk adverse. And as I've pontificated about many a time, I think the COVID culture has doubled down on that. It's made people even more fearful of risk and uncertainty. And it's ruined dating, of course. Again, I don't know if it's being just 36 and talking to women in their 30s, but everyone is dealing in this, like, it's not romance driven, it's compatibility driven. People are looking for people they're compatible with. Sweetheart, are we compatible? No, and it's not. It used to be about, are you interesting? Are you funny? Do you make me laugh? Or do you challenge me? Do I get nervous when I'm around you? Do I feel a tickle in the belly of my stomach when you turn a corner and you're there and we make eye contact? Now it's, did we vote for the same senator? It's a fucking nightmare. And back to that off ramp, that's where most people are now. If you're not actively pursuing some sort of artistic dream, why wouldn't you just cash in, push in your chips and say, all right, give me a job with benefits, a girl or a partner or a guy or whoever who doesn't challenge me, but they're compatible with me, and call it a life. My God, is that what it's come to? We survived this fucking global pandemic, and then it's just find the lowest common denominator human to fuck? Get out of here. So, this is a very eloquent way of me saying I'm alone. But, you want the truth, you want the real deal, you want a life that is worth talking about at some point, this is the path. And at this point, I don't know that I want a life that's worth talking about. I think I want a life that I enjoyed, and that's where the struggle now lies. So anyway, I left Nashville. There were some good comics there, some hilarious dudes. John Hickok, DeHerm, who is a fellow African American comedian. And I'll say this: interacting with black people, fellow black people, and Southern black people in particular, rings back to like real childhood insecurities where, connecting with my extended family, I always felt alienated because I was sort of, I went to private school and, I wasn't really, I didn't fit in. I watched anime. I didn't watch sports. I was always very alienated. But the black comics in Nashville, seeing my set and the stuff I talked about, just, why are we listening to rich white girls, or, liberal white women's victories are not black people's victories, and, Asians don't like, just talking about real shit, and having them not only understand what I was talking about, but laugh at what I was talking about, and then, warm up to me, was very, very good and positive, and that meant a lot to me. Because my entire life, I've been trying to get, my fellow brothers and sisters to understand who I am and what I'm saying. And I think I'm finally, as an adult, turning that corner where they do. And that matters to me. And this dude, DeHerm, just like, it pains me because, like, he was in this bullshit scene that was run ostensibly by, like, rich white girls who had no sense of humor, weren't funny, and there are plenty of funny female comedians and women comedians, white women comedians. That's not my point here. These particular ones were very gatekeeperish. And I could tell, try to shut him down and cast him out, and this didn't give him his due. And this man roasted like I've never seen someone roast. I mean, there was this one dude that DeHerm roasted. I don't know what this other kid's deal was. This other dude comedian, but he was like, I want to give it up for we'll call this other comedian Steve. I want to give it up for Steve's caretaker for dropping him off today, because this kid was just off, very off individual, and just like got in his like I was watching Def Jam in 1995. I was like crying laughing at an open mic, and if you are a comedian, you know how fucking like rare that is. And I don't know, and it was just like, it was astonishing, and he just, it's like, this guy should be a fucking headliner at the Comedy Store, and I'm sure he will be one day. He's a good dude. Anyway, so I left, but otherwise, outside of that, the city sucked. Otherwise, the comedy scene was very sort of like cliquey, and there was one club, and like that club didn't even do open mics, which is fucking retarded. Like it's just bullshit. Like the only way to get in at that club was to like hang out. It's like the Comedy Store has a fucking open mic at least, you know what I mean? And like anyway, this is a very inside baseball comedy focused episode of Ouch My 30s. But all that said, I had to leave. I wasn't connecting with anyone outside of the few people in the comedy scene that I was. Like it was racist. It was a racist city. I mean, I always kind of assumed that like my charming New York affability would win over the the historical inequities of this country, but it seemed not to be the case. So I went home to New York. Been home for about 3 months in New York. And I have been having some swallowing issues, which is not a gay joke. Just like my throat, like I've had like these neck pains, and like it's like made my swallowing muscle. It's like very weird. But basically, I got an endoscopy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your throat has narrowed," and they had to like stretch it and shit. So I had to do like 2 endoscopies, which were kind of cool actually, because I mean, it was not fun. Generally speaking, but like being put under anesthesia is like such a fucking like ultimate release, because your life is literally in someone else's hands. You lay on your side in the fetal position like a child, and they're like, "All right, night night," and you're like, "Okay, don't kill me and please bring me back to consciousness." But there's like this weird surrender and just sort of being like, "Okay," and then you turn back on, and like they were poking around inside of you, and like you're none the wiser. It's so weird. So I had to do 2 of those. They stretched it out. It's a little bit better. Largely heartburn stuff. I mean, anyway, this is not the point of this fucking podcast, to like give you my medical history, although that's surely what half of it is. And now I'm here, back in the woods, losing my mind, living with my mom and dad again. Still working. I mean, I make plenty of money. It's just like, okay, now I need to decide where to go once again. And it looks like California, LA is going to be the decision. Because I realized, like, I'm tired of being alone. You know, as much as I was shitting on people who find partners earlier, you need some community. You need some network. You need some people in your life. And relationships change. And that perhaps is the third aspect of this episode, is how much people and relationships have changed. I mean, you know, they change, you know, regardless of global pandemics and whatever else has occurred in the past like couple of years. But I don't have any friends anymore. It's crazy. It's like my longest friends are like, we are not friends anymore. You know, like one of my best friends from high school, he's a well-off person in the creative world. You know, he came to visit me in Nashville, and the first night we had a really fun night, just bullshitting, laughing. It was actually really, really fun. And then in the next morning, he's like, "Hey, what are we doing today?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm working. It's Monday. You changed your flight from Friday to Saturday, like last minute. So like we got to hang out Saturday. I'll see if I can hang out with you today." He's like, "Oh man, that's really fucked up. Like I came all the way to see you, like trying to guilt me and shit." And like he didn't really. I mean, he came to see me, but like this man always has ulterior motives and shit. And I like called him out on it. I'm just like, you know, you're not gonna like make me feel bad about this, dude. Like you were on some scheming shit, and like I don't like, and I'm down to see you, but my life doesn't start and stop at your behest. And then we got into a whole big argument about like other stuff and how he's always been this way. And then that was in August, and I haven't talked to him since. FaceTimed him once. So there goes one, you know, friendship of 20 years over, for now anyway. An old other buddy. I mean, anyway, it's just like people have no patience for one another anymore. And again, it's what this stupid fucking pandemic has done. You know, the government and the media, they're all like, if you do this, you'll be safe. If you do this, you'll be safe. And it like created this mentality that like somehow it's possible to be safe from calamity in life at all times. And it's not, particularly from a pathogen, which is absurd. You know, it's just like, you know, you can do your best to avoid it, but you are at some point going to experience woe. So eat your vitamins, eat your vegetables, and when this super soldier vaccine is ready, if you want it, get it. But I think that permeated the subconscious of people, and now they attribute that thinking to many other aspects of their life. You know, where they're like, well, I can be safe and perfect in relationships. I can be safe and perfect in romance. I can be safe and perfect in work. And it's like, there are no guarantees. And this is creating a boring as fuck reality. And now everyone is acting like a goddamn NPC in a video game, you know? Everyone's just like, no, that is not within the parameters of responses that I can provide. Please try again, you know? It's like if you go up to an NPC and you say some gibberish in a video game and they're like, I don't understand. Goodbye. And they walk away. That's what people are like now, so. I've been struggling. I'm really glad I decided to do this episode. Been lonely, man. I've been fucking lonely. But things are tightening though, you know, and I've been addressing issues that I've been putting off, particularly like the throat stuff. And Nashville sucked, but I did a lot of stuff that I wasn't gonna do in the comfort and familiarity of New York. How about that? Outside your comfort zone is where it happens. And I know that's like a fucking age-old cliche. But if you can see the boundaries, you'll just swim back to them. And I always think about this. It reminds me, my mom brought me to a swim class when I was like 5 or 7 years old or some shit like that. And I was afraid, you know, the swim instructor was like, I was holding onto the wall and the swim instructor was like, okay, just jump out to me. And I wouldn't do it. And my mom let me not do it. I told her I was scared, and she took me away, and I stopped swimming. And if I had stayed with that, I probably would have been a fucking athlete. My mom really pisses me off. should have jumped into that water. But the problem is I do a lot of jumping, and I get fucked up, and it hurts, and I go back home. All right, I see the problem here. I have to accept getting a little fucked up. I had an emergency appendectomy 2 years ago, and guess what? I'm mostly fine now. Still have some scar tissue. That's like, it still hurts sometimes. But other than that, it's like, whatever, life goes on. Yeah, you get injured, you get hurt, you get dumped, your friends leave you, you lose your job. That is life. And that's what I'm telling people. There is no fucking safety in this. And stop thinking with this COVID mentality that you can somehow avoid calamity. You can't. You breathe it in. You drink it. It's your friend. You love it. You dirty sluts. This is Jack Burton on the Pork Chop Express talking to anyone who's listening out there. It's like I told my last wife. I said, sweetheart, I never drive faster than I can see. And besides that, it's all in the reflexes. From 1986's Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes happy, sometimes not. Occasionally I get these bursts of clarity or remembering. Like, I remember I woke up one day and, like, for 1 second it felt like I remembered what my body felt like at 14. Waking up on my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bed sheets on a summer day in Harlem with my 486 computer, Pentium 2 processor, EverQuest loaded up, Counter-Strike standing by, computer desk. And just have fucking, I was a sad boy then. I've always been sad and depressed. Parents, do me a favor. If your child is clearly fucking depressed, like, do something about it. Jesus Christ. Mom just stared at me for 36 years, being like, oh, he's just serious. No, he's suicidal. Yeah. Anyway, I have, but recently I've been having these moments of, like, remembering what it was to be a more buoyant individual who wasn't carrying all this emotional weight. So, I don't know. If you guys listen to this shit, like I always say, I really do appreciate it. And if you have any commiserate experiences, share them with me. It's a quote from Star Trek V. I couldn't help but notice your pain. Share it with me. That's Sybok, Spock's brother from 1989's Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Is that 89? Yeah, because Undiscovered Country was 91. Probably 89, 88. Anyway. I don't know. So, although Miami does seem nice. I don't know. It's just like there's this YouTube channel, Bald and Bankrupt. And part of me just wants to, like, throw everything into just accepting, like, because I'm still trying to hold on to, like, the semi had it together, good looking, or I'm still good looking, but, like, just a healthier version of myself who had, like, a harem of women and, like, a good group of dude friends, and all of that's gone. So part of me is trying to, like, hold on to, like, reclaiming that, but I think that's perhaps where the dissonance is, that I need to accept that I've lost stuff, but I've also gained a shitload, and I've also gained a lot of confidence and self-clarity that I need to lean more into rather than trying to, relive my, late 20s and accept the fact that, like, in 4 years, you're going to be 40. And the only thing that would make that not make me want to kill myself is if I was a famous comedian, or at least the known working comedian who has a cult collection of books that people love. Well, I guess I answered my own question, as I always do here. Anywho, thanks, guys. I'm gonna try to. I always say it. I'm gonna try to keep being consistent here, and maybe do some video episodes. See how that goes. But yeah. Ouch. My 30s.